relationships feel like practice rounds. The one who makes you realize you've been settling for conversations that barely scratch the surface. Here's what's interesting. These people don't show up randomly. There are patterns in how we prepare for significant relationships, and Carl Jung was one of the first to document them systematically. According to Jung's observations, there are 4 specific internal changes that tend to happen before we encounter someone who fundamentally shifts our perspective. These aren't mystical signs, they're practical shifts in how you process your experiences, handle your emotions, and relate to your own story. If you're experiencing these 4 changes right now, there's a good chance you're being prepared for someone important, someone who will challenge you to grow in ways you haven't considered yet. So let's look at these signs, because if they're showing up in your life, you might want to pay attention to who's about to walk through your door. The first sign: your past begins to make sense. This phenomenon has a name in psychology: integration of personal history. When you're approaching a life-changing encounter, your mind begins organizing your experiences into a coherent narrative. The pain that once felt random starts revealing its purpose. The failures that seemed meaningless begin showing their hidden gifts. This isn't something you force or manufacture. It happens organically, like puzzle pieces finally clicking into place after years of confusion. Your relationship patterns suddenly become crystal clear. You see how each partnership taught you specific lessons about compatibility, communication, and your own needs. The person who was emotionally unavailable taught you to recognize your own worth. The one who was too clingy showed you the importance of maintaining your independence. The arguments that once felt destructive now look like necessary friction that polished away your rough edges. Even the way people hurt you becomes a teacher, showing you exactly what you won't accept in the future. Your childhood wounds stop feeling like life sentences and start feeling like origin stories. That critical parent who never seemed satisfied developed your drive for excellence and taught you that approval must come from within. The friend who betrayed your trust in high school taught you to trust your intuition about people's character and showed you the difference between friends and acquaintances. The teacher who told you that you weren't smart enough motivated you to prove that labels don't define limits and gave you compassion for others who have been underestimated. This isn't about forgiveness or positive thinking. It's deeper than that. It's about your psyche spontaneously reorganizing your life's experiences into wisdom. This integration happens when we're ready to step into a new phase of our development, when we're about to meet someone who will call forth our next level of growth. Your mind naturally begins to create coherence from chaos, meaning from suffering, and purpose from pain. You notice you're no longer telling your story as a victim. The narrative shifts from "all these terrible things happened to me" to "all these experiences shaped me into who I needed to become." Your past becomes a foundation rather than a burden. You can speak about your most difficult experiences without your voice shaking, without needing sympathy or validation. The events remain the same, but their meaning has transformed entirely. What once felt like evidence of your inadequacy now feels like proof of your resilience. There's a profound difference between healing and integration. Healing suggests something was broken and is now fixed. Integration suggests that nothing was ever truly broken. It was all preparing you for something greater. You start to see your life as a masterfully designed curriculum, each experience perfectly timed to develop the qualities you need for what's coming next. The difficult boss taught you boundaries. The financial struggles taught you resourcefulness. The heartbreak taught you how to rebuild yourself stronger. Your emotional triggers lose their power over you. Situations that once sent you into reactive spirals now feel manageable, even instructive. You develop the capacity to observe your reactions rather than being consumed by them. This emotional regulation isn't suppression, it's mastery. You feel your feelings fully, but respond from wisdom rather than wound. When someone behaves in ways that used to set you off, you can see their behavior as information about them rather than evidence about you. The stories you tell about your past begin to emphasize growth and learning rather than pain and injustice. This shift isn't forced or artificial. it emerges naturally as your perspective matures. You find yourself genuinely grateful for experiences that once seemed purely negative because you can see how they contributed to your strength, wisdom, and capacity for compassion. You realize that your struggles gave you depth, your failures gave you humility, and your losses gave you appreciation for what you have. Your family dynamics make sense in new ways. You stop taking their behavior personally and start seeing it as information about their own wounds and limitations. This understanding doesn't excuse harmful behavior, but it frees you from the burden of trying to change them or needing their approval to feel whole. You can love them without needing them to be different, and you can maintain boundaries without feeling guilty about it. The patterns in your career become clear too. You see how every job, even the ones you hated, taught you something valuable. The toxic workplace showed you what you won't tolerate. The boring job taught you the importance of finding meaning in your work. The demanding boss developed your resilience. Each experience was building your professional wisdom and clarifying your values. Even your health challenges begin to make sense. The anxiety that plagued you for years taught you to listen to your body and prioritize self-care. The physical illness forced you to slow down and reevaluate your priorities. The mental health struggles gave you empathy for others who are suffering and showed you the importance of seeking help when you need it. Your financial struggles reveal their lessons too. The times when money was tight taught you resourcefulness and creativity. The debt you accumulated forced you to examine your relationship with material possessions. The job loss that seemed devastating at the time led you to discover new skills and opportunities you never would have explored otherwise. When this integration is complete, you'll notice things beginning to flow differently in your life. Opportunities start appearing that align perfectly with who you've become through all these experiences. People respond to your newfound clarity and emotional stability with respect and attraction. The right conversations happen at the right times, and you find yourself saying exactly what needs to be said without overthinking it. Your intuition becomes sharper because you're no longer clouded by unresolved emotions. This internal coherence creates space for someone who will appreciate not just who you are now, but the entire journey that brought you here. Your past stops being something you need to hide or explain away. It becomes part of your magnetic authenticity that draws the right people toward you. Someone is out there who will see your scars as evidence of your strength, your struggles as proof of your character, and your growth as a preview of the amazing person you're still becoming. Here comes the second sign. You stop trying to be someone else. You stop bending yourself into shapes to make other people comfortable. Not through some grand decision or self-help revelation. It just happens, like outgrowing clothes that no longer fit. This represents the emergence of authentic selfhood. When we're about to encounter someone truly significant, we naturally begin shedding the false personas we've constructed to navigate social expectations. It's as if some deeper intelligence knows that authenticity will be required for what's coming. You stop checking your reflection quite so often. Not because you care less about how you look, but because you're less concerned with managing others' perceptions of you. The exhausting internal dialogue about whether you said the right thing, wore the right outfit, or gave the right impression begins to quiet. You realize how much mental energy you were spending on this constant performance, and suddenly that energy is available for more meaningful pursuits. Your taste in everything becomes more specific and refined. You know exactly which music moves you and which leaves you cold. You can articulate why you prefer certain books, certain films, certain ways of spending your time. This isn't pickiness, it's clarity. Your preferences are no longer shaped by what you think you should like or what others might find impressive. You gravitate toward art that speaks to your soul rather than your social image. The mask you didn't even realize you were wearing starts to slip away. Friends comment that you seem different, more relaxed, more present, more yourself. Conversations become more honest. You share your real thoughts, instead of the thoughts you think others want to hear. You stop agreeing with opinions that don't align with your values just to keep the peace. This authenticity creates a magnetic quality that experts recognize as essential for deep soul connections. When we're being genuinely ourselves, we attract others who resonate with our true nature rather than our performed self. People start responding to you differently, with more respect, more genuine interest, more depth. Superficial relationships naturally fall away, while meaningful connections deepen. You begin setting boundaries without feeling guilty about it. No becomes a complete sentence. You stop over-explaining your decisions or seeking permission for your choices. Your time becomes precious because you finally understand its value. You invest it carefully, deliberately, in people and experiences that align with who you really are. Your work life transforms as you align more closely with your authentic interests and values. You stop pursuing opportunities that look good on paper but feel empty in practice. You become willing to take calculated risks to move toward work that genuinely fulfills you. This isn't reckless, it's strategic alignment with your true nature. Social media becomes less important to you. You post less frequently and with more intentionality. The need for external validation through likes and comments diminishes because your sense of self-worth is becoming internally generated. You curate your feed to include only content that inspires, educates, or genuinely entertains you. Your spending habits change to reflect your authentic priorities rather than societal expectations. You invest in experiences and items that truly enhance your life, rather than those that project a certain image. This often means spending less overall while feeling more satisfied with your purchases. The fear of being disliked loses its grip on you. You realize that being liked by everyone is impossible and unnecessary. What matters is being genuinely appreciated by the right people. Those who value authenticity over agreeability, depth over superficiality, truth over comfort. And this is where the third sign gets interesting. Impossible coincidences begin to stack. These meaningful coincidences have fascinated researchers for decades. They intensify dramatically before significant encounters. It's not that the world becomes more magical, it's that your attention becomes more attuned to the underlying patterns that were always there. Your heightened state of readiness makes you notice connections that others might dismiss as random chance. You start noticing repeated numbers, symbols, or themes appearing throughout your day. These repetitions feel too specific to be random, too frequent to be mere chance. You find yourself screenshotting moments, taking photos of signs, writing down these occurrences because they feel significant. The repetition is the message. Life is giving you multiple opportunities to learn the same essential lesson. Your dreams become unusually vivid and seem to connect to your waking life in uncanny ways. The boundary between your unconscious and conscious experience becomes more permeable. Sometimes you wake up with solutions to problems you've been wrestling with, as if your sleeping mind has been working overtime. Dreams begin offering guidance, warnings, or previews of coming experiences. Animals behave differently around you. Dogs that usually ignore strangers seek out your attention. Birds seem to appear at meaningful moments, perhaps when you're making an important decision or feeling uncertain about your path. Cats that typically hide from visitors approach you with unusual confidence. Nature itself seems to be participating in your preparation for something significant. The coincidences aren't always pleasant or obvious. Sometimes they're challenging situations that push you toward necessary growth. You might keep encountering scenarios that force you to practice boundaries or people who mirror back qualities you need to develop in yourself. These repetitive challenges are preparation, strengthening the muscles you'll need for what's coming. Books fall open to exactly the page you need to read. You randomly turn on the radio just as someone is discussing the exact topic you've been contemplating. Friends call you at the precise moment you were thinking about them. These moments create a sense that you're being guided, that there's an intelligence larger than your conscious mind orchestrating your experience. Technology begins reflecting your inner state in unusual ways. Your phone might malfunction, when you're avoiding an important conversation, or work perfectly when you're aligned with your truth. Music streaming services seem to know exactly what you need to hear. Your computer crashes force you to take breaks exactly when you need them most. Conversations with strangers become unusually meaningful. The person sitting next to you on public transport mentions a book that changes your perspective. A casual chat with a cashier provides insight into a problem you've been mulling over. These interactions feel divinely orchestrated rather than random. You begin noticing patterns in the timing of events. Opportunities appear exactly when you're ready for them, not a moment before. Delays that initially frustrate you later reveal themselves as perfect timing that protected you from something or positioned you for something better. The physical world seems to respond to your emotional state. Traffic lights turn green as you approach when you're feeling aligned with your path. Parking spaces open up exactly where you need them when you're trusting the flow of life. Weather patterns seem to match your inner climate in uncanny ways. Street art and billboards start delivering messages that feel personally relevant. A poster advertising a movie contains exactly the phrase you needed to hear. Graffiti on a wall seems to speak directly to your current situation. Even random license plates begin forming words or numbers that resonate with your experiences. What's fascinating is how these coincidences begin to cluster around specific themes or decisions in your life. If you're considering a career change, suddenly everyone seems to be talking about following your passion. If you're working on self-worth, you keep encountering messages about valuing yourself. The universe becomes your personal guidance system. As these synchronicities multiply, you'll feel a growing sense that everything is beginning to align. Life starts flowing with less resistance. Doors open more easily. Conversations lead naturally to exactly where they need to go. You develop an unshakable knowing that you're being guided towards something or someone important. This heightened synchronicity is like the universe's way of getting your attention, preparing you to notice when the most significant coincidence of all appears. Crossing paths with the person who will change everything. When that moment comes, it won't feel like chance. It will feel like destiny finally arriving. The fourth and final sign. You feel ready without knowing why. There's a deep settledness in your body that wasn't there before. You're not necessarily happier or more excited about life. You're just ready. For what, you can't say. But the readiness is unmistakable. It sits in your chest like a warm stone, steady and unshakable. Psychology describes this as the maturation of the psyche. When we've completed a particular phase of development, there's an internal shift that prepares us for the next level of relationship and experience. You feel like yourself in a way you never have before. Not perfect, but complete enough to offer your authentic presence to another person. You've stopped trying to fix yourself because you realize you were never broken. You stop frantically searching for the one or desperately trying to make existing relationships work when they clearly don't fit. The anxious energy around finding love or meaningful connection dissipates. You're no longer operating from scarcity or fear of being alone. Instead, you find yourself genuinely enjoying your own company, creating a life so fulfilling that someone would need to be pretty extraordinary to improve upon it. This doesn't mean you become passive or stop engaging with life. Instead, you become selective with your energy. You invest in relationships and activities that genuinely nourish you, and you gracefully withdraw from those that drain you. You trust that the right connections will find you when the timing is right. There's a difference between waiting passively and being actively receptive. You're doing the latter. Your living space starts reflecting your true preferences rather than what you think looks impressive or what others might expect. You create an environment that supports your authentic self, knowing instinctively that you'll want to share this space with someone who appreciates your genuine taste. Every object in your home has meaning, purpose, or beauty. Sleep comes more easily, deeper, and more restorative. Your body feels more settled, less restless. There's a quality of patience that's different from resignation. It's expectant patience. like a gardener who has planted seeds and now trusts the natural timing of growth. You wake up refreshed instead of anxious, curious about what the day might bring instead of dreading potential disappointments. You stop making backup plans for your happiness. Instead of thinking, "I'll be happy when I meet someone," or "I'll feel complete when I find my person," you realize that you already are happy, already are complete. This paradox is key. Only when you stop needing someone to complete you do you become ready for someone who truly complements you. The desperation disappears, replaced by a calm confidence that what's meant for you won't pass you by. Your relationship with uncertainty transforms completely. Where once ambiguity created anxiety, it now feels like possibility. You become comfortable not knowing exactly what's coming next because you trust your ability to handle whatever arises. This comfort with uncertainty is actually a sign of deep inner security. The opinions of others carry less weight in your decision-making process. You consult trusted advisors when appropriate, but the final authority on your life choices rests with you. This isn't rebelliousness, it's sovereignty. You've developed an internal compass that you trust more than external validation. Your emotional baseline stabilizes at a higher frequency. You're not manic or artificially elevated, but there's an underlying contentment that persists even through challenges. Problems still arise, but they don't destabilize your core sense of well-being. You handle difficulties with grace because you know they're temporary visitors, not permanent residents. Physical symptoms of chronic stress begin to resolve. Your digestion improves, your skin clears, your energy levels stabilize. Your body recognizes that it's finally safe to relax because you've stopped fighting against your own nature. This physical wellness reflects the inner harmony you've achieved. Dating becomes less strategic and more intuitive. You stop trying to figure out what the other person wants to hear and start speaking your truth. You become less interested in impressing people and more interested in discovering genuine compatibility. This shift makes you infinitely more attractive to the right person. Money flows more easily in your life, not because you've suddenly become wealthy, but because you're making decisions aligned with your values rather than fear. You spend on what matters and save naturally on what doesn't. This financial alignment reflects your overall life alignment. You find yourself becoming someone you genuinely like spending time with. Your internal dialogue becomes kinder. You treat yourself with the same compassion you'd offer a good friend. This self-love isn't narcissistic, it's foundational. You can't give what you don't have. As this readiness settles fully into your being, you'll notice that life begins orchestrating itself around your highest good. The right opportunities appear at the right time. The right people show up when you need them. Everything starts feeling less forced and more flowing. Most importantly, you'll develop an unshakable knowing that love, real, transformative, soul-deep love, is not just possible for you, but inevitable. You're no longer hoping it might happen or wondering if you deserve it. You know it's coming because you've finally become the person capable of both giving and receiving it. This inner knowing acts like a magnet, drawing toward you someone who has done their own work, who has their own readiness, who is prepared to meet you in the depth of authentic connection you're now capable of offering. The meeting itself, when all signs converge. When this person finally appears, you'll recognize them not with fireworks or lightning bolts, but with a quiet knowing. The conversation will feel like a continuation of one you started long ago. Their presence will feel familiar rather than foreign, like coming home to a place you've never been. There's something almost eerie about how natural it feels. You don't stumble over words or feel the need to perform. You find yourself sharing thoughts you've never spoken aloud to anyone, and they respond with understanding rather than judgment. The silence between sentences feels comfortable rather than awkward. You catch yourself thinking, "Where have you been all my life?" But it doesn't feel dramatic. It feels logical. Research into human connections suggests these encounters are predestined not by fate, but by the natural development of the psyche. When we've completed the inner work of integrating our past, embracing our authenticity, recognizing the patterns of meaning around us, and settling into readiness, we naturally attract others who have done similar work. Time seems to bend around your interaction. Hours pass like minutes. You lose track of everything else happening around you. It's not obsession or infatuation, it's recognition. You see in them qualities you've been developing in yourself. They mirror back your growth while challenging you to expand even further. The 4 signs aren't guarantees, they're invitations to pay attention. They're your psyche's way of preparing you for the profound gift of meeting someone who will call forth your next level of growth, love, and becoming. When someone has moved through all 4 signs, they become a magnet for similarly evolved souls. So pay attention to the signs. They're already there, quietly weaving the conditions for your transformation. And when that person appears, and they will, you'll be ready. If this resonated with you, I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. Have you experienced any of these 4 signs? Are you recognizing them in your life right now? Your story could be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. If you found this valuable, please give it a like and share it with someone who might be going through their own transformation. And don't forget to subscribe for more insights into the psychology of human connection and personal growth. Your next level of love and life might be just one video away.